Julius motherfucking Randle, baby. That's what I'm talking about. How you doing? Happy 2024. Oh, could not have imagined a better way to start this year than what is the latest contender, and I would go so far as to say the leader in the clubhouse for best game of the year, best win of the year, and I think in a lot of ways, the best Knick performance that we've seen all year. There's so much to dive into in this game, and we're going to go over all of it. Also, for those of you wondering if I've seen the video floating around Twitter of me, yes, I have. I will address that before we get to the super chats. But let's get to some stuff that is far more important and, frankly, interesting. So here's the thing about this game, which the Knicks won 112-106. It's not that the Minnesota Timberwolves are second in the West, which they are. It's not that they were 24-7 before this game, which they were. It is that I'm not sure, given the particular circumstances at play here, you could have found a tougher matchup for the Knicks in this specific sense. Jalen Brunson, and we've seen it time and again this season. We saw it in Orlando to a lesser degree than today. But when you're able to take him away, it kind of throws everything the Knicks do out of whack. And that was true before the trade that brought OG Anunoby to the Knicks. And it is, exponentially truer now. I'm going to talk about RJ Barrett in a little bit. But the one thing that I have been consistent about throughout RJ Barrett's entire career, is that the one thing he gives you is the ability to get downhill and at least get something close to a quality shot at the rim. Now, why is that important? Well, it's not really important against most teams in the NBA, against the vast majority of teams in the NBA. Against a team like this that's able to not only cut Brunson off, but cut Brunson off using one defender, because if he jukes that defender, and we saw him juke his defender, and they were sticking McDaniels on him, who's an all-defense caliber wing, if he jukes his defender and starts to get some breathing room, well, then there's 14 fucking feet of Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert waiting for you. Or if it's not Cat or maybe Gobert's out of the game, then it's some other long, rangy wing that they have. Even Kyle Anderson, who they tried on Brunson a little bit. And it makes offensive generation a nightmare. So then when you take that away, then it's like, okay, well, we don't have RJ to get downhill. We don't have Quickly in there, who, again, this is one of those matchups that I'm not sure how much they would have played him alongside Brunson, because you saw that they didn't even want to play Dante DiVincenzo, or Tibbs didn't want to play Dante DiVincenzo alongside Brunson down the stretch because they were so worried about Minnesota's size. That's why he stuck with Hart. So there's not really a great answer there. And OG Anunoby, and my God, what a debut from Anunoby. He, as I said the day of the trade, does all the things that this team needed. But the one thing he doesn't give you is that creation juice in a pinch if you need to rely on your third option. So how do they go about winning this game? They toss the ball in to the guy who, it's funny. Lot of emotions spilled out onto the old, I don't know, how do people tweet? Keyboard, phones, whatever, over the last several days. And those were warranted, and I should have paid far more respect to those emotions than I did. However, I find it fascinating, and I say this as someone who killed Julius Randle once upon a time. I find it fascinating that if Julius Randle was traded tomorrow, doesn't even matter what he brought back. Literally, doesn't matter. You wouldn't see half the outpouring, and I'm being generous, of support and love for him, despite the fact that he has made 2 All-Star teams, despite the fact that he has made 2 All-NBA teams, despite the fact that he chose the Knicks and then chose the Knicks again on what we all agreed at the time was a bargain contract, and despite the fact that he looks like he's on his way to his third All-Star game. I'd put him there if I had to vote right now. Obviously, I'm a little biased. But my God, I've said it so many times this year, and I'll say it again. There is no one in the league that can guard him one-on-one. You can't. It's not possible. You can guard him with your team, and we saw Minnesota frustrate him earlier in this game. And I think specifically, I want to say maybe in the third quarter, where they got a couple of turnovers on him, and it turned into some transition blocks. It's how Minnesota started to get back into the game after the Knicks built up that 22-point lead. So you could do it. And we've seen teams do it. We've seen teams do it a lot, far more often than they frustrated Brunson. But when he is locked in and when he could really get all of his faculties together and harness all of his skill and ability and passion, the passion that this guy plays with when he's going right, and God knows we complain about it when it's going wrong, but when it's going right, it's as fun to see as anybody who has walked on the Garden floor, at least in my lifetime, because that dude is a battering ram. And what a game. What a game to overshadow everything else that's going on. I mean, needless to say, they don't win this game without Julius Randle, but like they had nothing, nada going down the stretch. I don't even think, did Jalen Brunson have a point in the fourth quarter? Maybe Andrew could look that up for me. If he did, I've forgotten it. But like nothing going for JB. I think he maybe got to the line a couple times and made 2 free throws. And that's it. So this was a Julius Randle game through and through. And honestly, we're getting to, it's so funny. Said after 20 games, right? Last year said after 20 games, well, obviously if the Knicks get an All-Star, it's Jalen Brunson. And then Julius Randle makes the All-Star team. Said after 20 games this year, when Julius's shooting numbers were still poo-poo. And they're still not all the way back up, but they've slowly but surely rising. We said after 20 games this year, there's no way that if the Knicks only get one All-Star, it's going to be Julius Randle. Well, guess what? I mean, it's still Brunson, but Julius has made it very tight, and hopefully they get 2. Honestly, hopefully they get 2. So Julius obviously is the big story of the day. I'm going to save OG for last because I want to talk about 2 things before we get there. One is the new guy. I know there was a few new guys. Precious Achiuwa played today. Did not exactly distinguish himself in those minutes. Not giving up on him quite yet. Again, bad matchup for a Minnesota team with all that size. So I'm kind of just going to punt the Precious Achiuwa conversation for at least the game. We can talk about him if you want during the Super Chat. It's fine. But OG Anunoby. I was listening to the great Fred Katz on Katz and Shoots Patreon podcast earlier today. And he wrote about this a little bit as well. But for anybody who missed it, basically like Jeremy Grant signed for 5 years, $32 million a year, 160 total this past summer. OG Anunoby's agents, who, by the way, are Leon Rose's kid, is going to walk into Leon's office this summer and be like, okay, he's getting 32 a year. Well, I'm better than him, so I should get, 35, 30, whatever. And you watch a game like this, and even in his debut, which was awesome, and he made so many big plays, including a stop on Anthony Edwards down the stretch, that was absolutely pivotal because it led to the transition basket when the Knicks were trying feverishly to hold off a Minnesota comeback. But it wasn't just that. There was great defense all game long by him. In addition, when he was switched on Towns, hit some threes, and oh my God, his power dunks, man. I made a joke in the Substack chat, which I don't know how much I'm allowed to joke on here anymore. You never know where the police are. But like watching some guys, here we'll go with this. Watching some guys go up for shots at the rim, it's like a PG movie, maybe PG-13. Watching OG Anunoby go up when he's near the rim, that motherfucker's rated R. And oh boy, did he throw some down today. Off some nice passes by Dante DiVincenzo, by the way. He played a nice game. Very nice game. As did Josh Hart. I'm sure Deuce will come up throughout the day. But what OG gives you and why he's going to get paid close to a max this summer is like And like all of our nerves went up when he fouled out of the game because all OG has to do, or all his agents have to do, is walk into, I mean, it happens to be Leon Rose's office, but any office of any team he's on, where they would say, okay, you don't want to pay me? Go find someone else who does what I do. Go find someone else who does what I do. And then not only that, go find someone else that does what I do, and then compare, and then that skill set, figure out how valuable it is in general around the league, but even more specifically to your roster. And I would argue that what OG does is as valuable to the Knicks roster as anything, because they have two subpar defenders in their starting five. Although I should have mentioned earlier, for as great as Julius Randle's offensive game was, I thought this was the best defensive game he played all year. He was a good defender today, but that's the thing with OG, and he was awesome, and I can't wait to see what he does more of from here on in. Are they complete yet? No, they're not complete yet. And as you saw today, again, even bad matchup, they are lacking another creator. They sent 2 of their 4 creators out, and they didn't get a creator back because that's not what OG does, really. So they're still incomplete. We'll see if they could stay above water for as long as they stay incomplete. I think I said I was going to do Hartenstein first, and I ended up doing OG first. So let's do Hartenstein now, and then we'll move on. Underrated player of the game. Obviously, Randle will get all the attention, and OG Anunoby, needless to say, they don't win this game without Isaiah Hartenstein. It wasn't just the 3 highlight blocks on Rudy Gobert, but his physicality, his toughness. I know we've been saying the same things about him all year. It's because it's always true. It's because he never lets us down, or almost never lets us down. And, I mean, this isn't a great offense, this Minnesota offense. It's not great. I think they're 21st in the league, and they might even be lower than that if you look at half-court offense, because they get a lot of their shit in transition. But it's good enough. And, like, they held them to 106 today. I know they added Anunoby, and adding Anunoby was a big part of it. But, and by the way, Minnesota hit 39% of their threes. The Knicks only 35% of their threes. So that's another swing factor that when that swing factor goes another team's way, usually results in Knicks losing. They didn't lose today, and they still held Minnesota to 106 points. For as much credit as Anunoby's going to get for that, I want to give almost as much credit to Isaiah Hartenstein. Fun game. Truly, a fun game. I think this is going to be a fun team for as much as they are going to be a little incomplete for a while. Although the next move they make, it's going to require, someone who we probably like going out. Although, you never know. Crazy things have happened. But that's a conversation for another time. And well, you know what? I'm sure the rotation stuff is going to come up as we go through the Super Chats, because I think this move, and we saw the start of it today, gives Tibbs some interesting rotation decisions to make that I'm very curious to see. Okay. Before we get to Prize Picks and our Super Chats, I'll try to be brief with this. So, funny story. We're driving home from Long Island today, and I'm making small talk with my wife in the car. Kids are, I don't know what the kids are doing. And she's like, you're really getting fucking killed on Twitter. I'm like, yeah, I know. She's like, well, like, what the fuck? I'm like, well, I said some stuff I probably should have said, and some people are upset about it. I'm like, what's the big deal? It's Twitter. She's like, well, like, it's okay to be critical of someone. You're critical of RJ here, but like, why can't you just be nicer about it? And I'm like, because I'm kind of a dick sometimes. And that was pretty much the end of that conversation. And the moral of the story is, I can be a bit of a dick sometimes. And it's not my favorite quality about myself, but it's absolutely true. And the reality of this situation is that on the post-trade podcast, I said some things about RJ that violated the only rule that anybody who ever steps in front of a microphone should have. The only rule. And it's the rule that Mike Breen told me when he was on this podcast. I don't know how long ago it was now, 3 years ago. He said, I would never say anything about a player, but like on mic or when I'm, when I'm not in front of him, that I wouldn't say to his face. And the way I talked about RJ, who, and this is the reason people got so upset, who has been nothing but a professional representation of the New York Knicks franchise since the day he came here, and this is a franchise that has been a laughingstock for most of the last, the time before he got here, was nothing but a gentleman and like everything you could possibly want in terms of representation of your organization. And so, like, it doesn't matter why I said what I said. You can't, there's no need to say shit like that about someone like that. And it's even worse because, and this is what really hit me. And I was looking at Sean with a W posted a picture of like all of his and his son's RJ, shirts and jerseys and stuff on their bed that now is like, he's gone. And I'll get to where my frustration came from, where I made the comments in the first place in a moment. But like the people I think who felt it, and rightly so, were just all people who were fans of RJ Barrett, not stans, but just regular fans. And people who really took to this guy in a way that for whatever reason I never did. And like that really bothered me as well, to say nothing of the fact that like it's not just me anymore. Like we have a whole team of people here at Knicks Film School. So if I do something stupid, it's going to reflect on all of them. All that being said, the reason why I got kind of frustrated and let that frustration build over in a way that it should not have is because I saw the way the discourse was going and kind of how it has been going on. Forget the trade. Like it's been going like this for a while. We've become so steeped in hive culture where, and like, I get it, right? It's an extension of fandom. Why are we fans? We're fans because we can root for a team and then the team wins and then we feel good about ourselves. And if the team wins the championship, we feel really good about ourselves and really special about ourselves in a life that is ultimately meaningless. So sorry to be a downer. But the standum hive culture bullshit, that's just an extension of that. So like, I get it. But the other part of fandom that I find so amazing, and I realize what I did does not, go hand in hand with this, but is the community that we build as Knicks fans, supposedly together, where we could share in wins like this together and all be happy together. And where we've gotten in terms of like hivedom, I feel like we've gotten away from that. Like it feels like we can't all just be happy about the same thing anymore. Like someone has to be arguing their point or something like, and it could never be, there's no more in between. It feels like political discourse. It feels like Republicans and Democrats. And there is no more in between. There is no more room for conversation. And ultimately that's where my frustrations came from. Certainly doesn't justify it or excuse it, but I did just want to say my piece. And obviously very thankful to everybody. Like a lot of people reached out and were like, listen, don't sweat it. And like, look, if you're someone, I doubt this will get clipped and passed around. It's not quite as interesting. But if you're someone who heard a 2-minute soundbit from me and wants to use that to judge me or whether you're going to listen to me or watch me anymore, well, no, that's my loss, I guess. But you guys know who I am and what I'm about. And lastly, before I bring Andrew up here, because I know he has some words he'd like to say, I don't know who the person is who sent the clip around, because I don't know the fuck anybody is on Twitter, but hit me up in my DMs and let me know whatever your Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, or anything, and I'll shoot you a few bucks, because man, can't buy that sort of engagement. And trust me, I've tried. So I can't afford much. Christmas in the Macri household set us back a little bit, but I'll do what I can for you, whoever you are. On that note, Andrew Claudio. Oh, he has his glasses on. What's this?
Are you referring to me, Mr. Macri?
Are you not Andrew Claudio?
No. So your general manager reached out to me last night. My name is Drew. I'm the new head of public relations here at Knicks Film School. He said it was somewhat urgent, and judging by the intro, I see the urgency. I wanted to introduce myself. Happy New Year. I wanted just to get acclimated. I'll be your producer for this post game show.
Okay.
Any type of you had mentioned the conversation with your wife about sometimes you're a dick, and so we're implementing sometimes he's a dick policy here at Knicks Film School, and it's a strict don't say the thing policy that we had in place, but because of the live nature of some of the content that Knicks Film School provides, we want to make sure that we're just, we had a really great year here at Knicks Film School. It's over 2.3 million downloads on the podcast feed. And I just want to make sure that is an official announcement from, as I said, your general manager, Mr. Claudio, asked me to share that. No, he's enjoying a day. He actually mentioned hiring a therapist, a sports therapist for the entire staff. He's been seeing one for his baseball team and his football team, and decided with the added downloads, we might actually have some room in the budget for it. So I'll be here if you need any notes. I already have one if you'd like. We don't need to accuse people of being the police when it comes to. We can just say that they're keeping us accountable, so that way, as I mentioned, we aren't dicks when we are talking about professional athletes at the top 1% of their profession. So I'm your friend here. I'm just here to help whenever you need me.
You only had one note in that whole thing?
Man. Well, we'll see how the live stream goes, sir.
It's great to meet you. And I just realized what I should have gotten Andrew Claudio for Christmas present. Tape delay button. If they have.
Yes, that's in the works. Actually, he's also just sent me a message. You're apparently doing something that's causing some feedback on your side, audio wise.
My 2-year-old daughter who's fucking around with the mic.
Okay, so that is probably something we are unable to do. I will see if we can get an extra set of hands over to the Macri residence.
Reach out to Andrew. I think she has my wife's number.
Okay, that sounds good. I will do so. I believe you have some sponsors to go through, the fine folks over at Prize Picks.
Prize Picks, yes.
I will let you take it through the betting and sweating segment is what I believe it was referred to. And again, Happy New Year. I'm your friend, not a babysitter, unless I have to be.
Well, listen, I'm not paying you enough to do any of that. Okay, from our friends at Prize Picks, that was great. Go to prizepicks.com/KFS and use code KFS for a first deposit match up to $100. You know how it works. You just go to prizepicks.com/KFS if you want to put in $20, $40, up to 100. You can get that match with your first deposit. It's okay. You can get that match with your first deposit, and they're happy to do it because they want your business and they want you to have a little extra fun with the old wagering. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Okay, let's go through the picks for today. First and foremost, GMAC, who's I can't tell if that's him or my new HR person that's joining me.
As I mentioned, your general manager is visiting therapist today, sir, but I can facilitate if you need me to.
No, I'm good. GMAC, who's not here right now, went over 9.5 rebounds for Julius Randle. And unfortunately, and I know he'd be upset if he was here, that just missed because Julius Randle got 9 rebounds, although he did have a very good game on the boards. Sean with a W took Karl Anthony Towns over 1.5 3-pointers made. And wouldn't you know it, Karl Anthony Towns went 3 for 5 from downtown. So good job, Sean with a W. Going 2 for 2 so far. Now, XJ did a combined thing, parlay, I think they call it. Jalen Brunson and Mike Conley to combine for at least 13.5 assists. You know what? You could take the Mike Conley portion of that and you could dispense with it because Jalen Brunson hit this number all by himself. Should have mentioned it at the top. Career high 14 assists. Did what he could. And again, struggled, forced it kind of out of necessity down the stretch. But listen, 14 assists is nothing to shake a stick at. So good job by XJ there. And then finally, last but not least, OG Anunoby. At least 1.5 blocks and steals. Had to zoom in there. And OG Anunoby ends up with no blocks and 1 steal. So just miss. Although obviously that does not begin to characterize his impact on this game. And not a coincidence that he was plus 19. Again, you know what I always say. Game to game plus minus, you can throw it in the trash for the most part, but sometimes it is a little indicative of what actually happening in a basketball game.
I have one other note, sir, if you don't mind me just sharing before I get you to the contributions from the people that watch you and contribute, which should garnish a reaction, which I'll help you if you need me to, that does not lead to another, I believe they call it going viral in the Twitterverse. You had asked about Jalen Brunson's fourth quarter points in the basketball game today. He scored 2, sir. He made 2 free throws.
That's something.
Yes. They scored 18 and he had 2 of them. he did not make a shot, as you had referenced. Yes,
Okay.
your basketball analysis we have no complaints about here at Knicks Film School. That is no issue within the public relations department with your basketball analysis.
I also just do want to say before I forget, and I was just reminded of it because Chris Finch, it was his first comment, I guess, after the game. Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, said they punked us on the boards. To that end, offensive rebounds, 16 for the New York Knicks, 4 for the Minnesota Timberwolves. They also out-rebounded Minnesota on the defensive glass for a total of 15 rebound margin, 49-34. I think that's one. I mean, it's certainly one of the biggest margins they've had in quite some time. And to do have that kind of rebounding margin against a team with this size, could you tell the Knicks maybe wanted this one a little bit extra today? That's all I'm going to say about that.
We will continue with your show, sir.
Why, thank you. Okay, here we go. Mythic Monty. Thanks for starting us off. I immediately want OG to be a Knick for life. Well, he's probably going to be, or at least for a goodly long time. This is not a stepping stone move, because once you get one of these guys, unless you're Masai Ujiri and you've kind of bumbled it in various ways over the last few years, you don't give them up. And I understand a lot of people say the same thing about Emmanuel Quickley. And the thing that I was going back and forth with Fred and Benji is I was making the point over the weekend that, like, the big difference for me is there's a ton of guards out there that are like amazing on ball. Like, you put like top 3 option, top 2.5 option on a good team. I don't know how many, 15, 20, 25 in terms of like different skill sets. And like, how many of these guys are there? OG, but Benji made the good point that, like, in terms of what IQ does specifically, that's also pretty rare, right? Being able to function alongside, other predominant, shot makers and creators and all that stuff. So we'll see. I think ultimately this trade is going to be a win for both teams, though. Thank you, Mythic Monty. Jessica Elsner. What's going on, Jessica? Loving all the Anunoby hitting all those Anunoby threes. I like that. I could get down with that. The proof of concept, while not yet complete, is clearer than ever. Love this team. Let's go Knicks. You nailed it, Jessica. Proof of concept. You saw it. Not complete. Saw that too. Not complete. And I am perhaps more fascinated as we approach this trade deadline as I have been for the Knicks in a very long time, because they could go in some directions here. There will be stuff that they could do. Not getting a star, but there'll be stuff that they could do. Thank you, Jessica. Austin Z. I've appreciated what Randle has done in the past, but this is the first year where I truly enjoy watching him play. Some turnovers, but I really trust him now. You know why I think that is, Austin? If I could be so bold as to suggest a reason, I think that's because he's gotten better every year. And I understand there's one year that is absolutely not true, which was the first All-NBA year to the Kemba and Fournier year. And, like, we talked about that a lot. We don't have to revisit it. A lot of that's on him. But I really do think he tried to adjust, and it was an absolute and complete and total failure. And I also think there was some stuff going on probably off the court that may never come out, but I don't know what it is. But that's always been my suspicion, because it was just so stark, the change. But for the most part, the dude keeps getting better. And it was really cool the moment he had today with the fans, where he was like letting it, like, playing off of him. It was really great. And my God, how far we've come since the first 6 games of the season. Thank you, Austin. Sam L. What's going on, Sam? Go New York, go New York, go. Never seen Randle look so happy and energized with his teammates. Really feel that the Clicks era is ending with RJ gone. No shade to RJ. So I'm not going to speak to that because I have no earthly idea what click, if any, RJ was in. There were absolutely clicks in this locker room. I don't know. Quickly was in, for that matter. Really don't. Truly. I know from having watched basketball over the last 4.5 years that Julius Randle and RJ Barrett do not mesh. They just don't. And the numbers say that. The eye test says that. Again, I'll reference Fred Katz's excellent pod, Katz and Shoot. He said, this trade was more a result, not a result of, like, part of the trade was, it was just abundantly clear they had to choose at some point between RJ and Randle. And, like, I think given what Randle gives you compared to, like, what you'd get back for him versus how they were able to use RJ in this trade, I mean, it was an easy decision. And at the end of the day, does the fact that Randle now, I don't know, Obi's gone, RJ's gone, it's as much his team as it is JB's. Will it stay that way? We'll see. Will he be on the team, when they make the last move? We'll see. But for right now, though, it seems to be working pretty well. Thanks, Sam. Michael Aaron, what's going on, Michael? People are going to be so happy about OG, and rightly so. But, man, we really take Julius for granted sometimes. What a monster. I've been as guilty of this as anyone. Happy to be the first one to say that. And be like, man, what he gives you. And a lot of people have made this, not maybe not a lot. People are saying, people have made this comp of comparing Randle to Ewing in the 90s. Now, in terms of how he was treated. Now, that may sound ridiculous on its face because Patrick Ewing was, like, finished, like, 4th, 5th, or 6th in MVP voting, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, something like that. Like, he was up in that range a lot. And obviously the team had so much playoff success. And he did catch a lot of shit from fans. I don't really remember it because I was young at the time, but I do. I know it happened. And, I think there's different reasons for that, but it's the grass is always greener on the other side. And that's the case with Julius. He's so far from perfect. But so is JB. So is Brunson. He's small, and you can target him on the defense. Although Minnesota today, with the new alignment, they were much less able to target him. I didn't see a whole lot of targeting going on, maybe a couple of plays. Not a ton, which was good. Thank you, Michael. Josso focused. Repeat after me. Signature win. So now it's so funny how the flip. Am I supposed to talk into a microphone for a living? Flip the script. The Knicks were whatever they were heading into the play-in. I think they were 12-7. Does that sound right? Right? 12-7. So they were 5 over 500. And what are they? 3 over 500 now? And all the talk was no signature wins. Now we've fallen a few games in relation to 500. Well, we've backslid a little bit, but beat Phoenix, which I will continue to maintain was a really good win, despite the fact that they kind of scuffled after that. Beat the Lakers, beat the Bucks on Christmas Day, and beat Minnesota. Man, would I have loved to get that Oklahoma City win. That would have felt, and it felt like it was kind of there for them. We know what happened. Was it why they lost? Was it not why they lost? I don't know. But either way, add this to the ledger. And you know what? They're going to get a chance to get a couple of more here. Visiting Philly on Friday night, no picnic. And then you got some other tough games coming. Thank you, John. Haitian Ferg. OG makes the game simple for everyone on the floor. We can win a lot of games with the ease he brings on both sides of the floor. Quality team win. Let's go, Knicks. Couldn't have said it better myself. I'm going to actually shout out Jason Meredith, who is obviously a longtime all-star of the halftime Zooms for all the newsletter subscribers on Substack. Made a great point that I think has been made, but I really want to give him credit for it because he said it at the time, and it's so true. Slotting everybody into their right spots by introducing like a true number one guy, that's not just a concept that relates to offense. It relates to defense too. When you have a true number one defender and then Dante DiVincenzo gets to work his magic a little bit off ball. And we saw DiVincenzo come up with like another steal today. And it just puts everybody in their right spot. Like Josh Hart, like it's not going to be fun for teams when they have to try to score when both Anunoby and Josh Hart are on the floor together, let alone Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Quentin Grimes, which is the version of the Knicks that we saw, or the new kind of version of the backup unit, right? With, it's going to be interesting how he navigates this, right? Because he has Deuce in now at the end of the first with Julius and like Hartenstein and I guess Hart and Grimes, and then keeps Hart and Grimes in, except brings in JB and Anunoby for Julius and McBride. And then we'll see what happens with the backup center moving forward. I like the choice. I thought it was a terrible matchup for it in this particular game because specifically with what they could do to Brunson, but I don't know what better choices they had today. I don't know what better choices they had. Thanks, Haitian. Ja, so focused. Brunson. Oh, here we go. Brunson quickly, Freudian slip. Brunson, Grimes, OG, Julius, Hartenstein look great. Future starting lineup. I don't even know how much we saw that for in this game. Off the top of my head, I don't know how many minutes that lineup played. I think they're gonna stick with DiVincenzo. I think what he gives them offensively, and I think what he can bring to the table defensively, while different than Grimes, is enough. I think it's enough. That being said, and terrible job by me, I forgot to do this. I always forget someone. This was a bad job to forget him. Quentin Grimes was outstanding. And I feel really bad that we're 38 minutes into the show, and I'm just now mentioning Quentin Grimes. I feel really bad, so I'm going to read his stat line, although the stat line I don't think does justice to his impact on the game. Hit a massive 3 in the fourth quarter, by the way. 3 of 4 from the field, 2 of 3 from deep, 10 points, had an assist. I vaguely recall it being a good one, and 3 rebounds. And here's probably the most important part as far as Grimes is concerned, 18 minutes. So it's still, 18 minutes for Grimes, 29 for Hart, 7 for McBride, 26 for DiVincenzo. So he essentially split. Actually, no, he didn't split DiVincenzo and Grimes. He didn't split 48 down the middle for those two. There's 2 other minutes in there somewhere. And then the OG Anunoby would have played 39 minutes had he not fouled out. So the one big error that I did a little kind of minutes prediction in the newsletter yesterday, in which I predicted that Anunoby would get about 30. I think I predicted 32 or 33 minutes moving forward. I think 32. So RJ was at 29. I think in Toronto he was at around 34. I think I predicted 32 or 33 here. I'm going to be low on that. Maybe it changes in other games where his he's not quite as necessary to cover a guy like Edwards, but I think he's going to be high. There's going to be a lot of minutes running over here. Kevin Danishevsky. Brunson goes 5 for 23. This is a great point. Comment of the night for you, Kevin. Brunson goes 5 for 23, and we beat the best team in the West. OG is unbelievable, and those calls were absolute horseshit. I'm so excited about this team. Yeah, the whistle, the whistle on specifically on the fouls for OG Anunoby. I didn't love the 4th foul. I didn't love the 5th foul, and the 6th foul. It wasn't going to get overturned. Can't call that there. Hans said it. Can't call that there. You even heard someone in the background say like can't make that call there. But your point about Brunson going 5 for 23 and us winning that game against the best team in the West. What a fantastic point by you. Great job. I'll steal that and try to remember to give you credit. Okay, thanks, Kev. Next up, Jamie or Jaime? Jamie? Nucho. I happily take the bad with the good when it comes to Randle in this version of the Knicks, but gotta say, I've never loved him more than right now. I think that's going to be the case for a lot of people, for sure. But listen, you love him so much, not because of this game, but because there's been so much that he has done leading up to this game. And I think I include myself, need to do a better job of appreciating that for sure. Next up, Anthony. We simply do not win this game without OG. Oh, like it goes without saying. And if you want to do the, are they better or worse in this game, or are they better off or better or worse off in this game with RJ and Quickly instead of Anunoby? I actually don't want to start getting into that and doing that after every game because I'm going to give myself a fucking headache, and I don't really feel like doing that. I agree with you. I don't think they win this game without OG Anunoby. I'll just leave it at that. Thanks, Anthony. Keith, OG fouling out on that was lame. Yep. But man, he was a beast. iHeart is everything a Knicks should be, and Drew was incredible. You hit my 3 stars of the game. I'm gonna have a little bit of a tough time deciding OG or Hartenstein for 2nd star and 1st star. 1 star, 2 stars. It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be because Hartenstein was that good. Anyway, happy New Year to you as well, Keith. OG team, how you doing? Absolutely fantastic. By the way, F the haters on Twitter. No. We don't want to get Mr. PR up here. So enough of that. Enough of that.
Who?
Oh, you're back, Andrew.
I just got here. Who's the dork, by the way?
You know, I love you.
I love you too. I would have been here on time, but I hope that we got our new head of PR. Obviously necessary. He's gonna help us with some media training. He's gonna help us with some media training. I rumor has it comes in handy.
I hear media training can take you very far in the world.
Yeah, can't hurt.
It can't hurt. It absolutely cannot. No.
Love you too.
Juanon, what's going on, Juanon? Probably said this 50 times now, but Tibbs is a pig in ish now that he has his Luol Deng. Man, you're gonna competition with Kevin here for comment of the night. Yes. That's the comp, right? That's the comp. It's absolutely the comp. Finish reading the comment here. Can only imagine how we're going to look when Brunson's shot is falling. Now, for real, we're here. They're not there yet. They're not there yet. There's another move. The biggest question for me right now, I'm not itching to make another move because I really, really like what we have in terms of the rotation right now. But it's also kind of painfully obvious to me that we need one more creator on this roster. Now, does that mean you have to go out and trade for DeJounte Murray? No, not necessarily. There's lots of different, sizes and shapes of a third creator. They don't all have to be Emmanuel Quickly or play the minutes of an RJ Barrett. You're just looking to fill in the gaps here. And I do think they need that guy. I want to give Deuce a real chance. Wasn't pretty today. Hans said, "Gotta keep shooting it." Well, that'll take you so far though. But yeah, he has his Deng, and Luol Deng was a 2-time All-Star if I recall correctly under Tom Thibodeau. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if this team got good enough. OG makes his first All-Star. I thought OG was in the running for an All-Star team maybe a year or two ago. Forget one of those years, maybe 2 years ago. Thanks, Juanon. Hushzu, huge win, statement win. Needed this. OG looks great. No disagreement. Agree with all that. Statement win for sure. They've had a few statement wins. I really did think so. Like, think about how we felt after that Laker game. God knows how we felt after the Bucks game. The Phoenix game was more about Brunson than anything else. Like the Laker game, but the Lakers aren't as good as the Timberwolves. Not nearly as good. And frankly, neither are the Bucks. I know the Bucks have been playing, winning a lot of close games, but this Minnesota team, man, they're a different animal. They're a different animal. Thanks, host. Appreciate you. Will Oliver, what's going on, Will? Team felt rejuvenated. Not an accident. Not an accident in the least. I think that and honestly, I kind of we didn't talk about it too much because of the day that was and like how the game turned out. I thought they really came out with like good intentions, I'll say, in the Indiana game, but the problem was it's hard to look rejuvenated when you play that Pacer team on the road on the second night of back-to-back. But I thought they did some nice things, and I thought that carried over. Oh, that was the other thing that I wanted to say. Again, just all over the place today. The fact that they passed it today. I mean, I know their final assist number was, I think, 29. I'll get it right now. 23, excuse me. 23 on 39 made field goals, which is not a crazy assist percentage. It's a 58.9 assist percentage. So it's right around where Knicks are usually, maybe a little higher. But I think that's only because they had to kind of divert to ISO Randle because they didn't have anything else going. Their effort to move the ball, and it was overpassing. It really was overpassing. I think shows you something. And look, I really am going to be cautious about choosing my words carefully with RJ and quickly. But look, I'll just reference things I've said throughout the year. At times during the backup units, especially, the ball gets a little sticky. Like RJ's issues passing the ball have been well documented. And quickly, I thought it notable, meaningful, that he went in front of the microphone his first press availability for Toronto, and somebody asked him, like, what do you want to improve here? And he's like, I want to be a better passer. I score a lot for the Knicks. I want to become a better passer. And I think that's awesome for him to say that, and I would not be surprised at all if he's averaged like 7 or 8 assists a game. So yeah, I don't really put that on him. But anyway, OG seamless fit, cuts to the hoop really well, and those finishes, my goodness. They always find ways to surprise when we're feeling down. Happy effing New Year. Giddy up. Love it. Thanks, Will. Deadwords 604. OG is the real deal. Gave Anthony Edwards fits all day. Jalen Brunson almost shot us out of the game, but dish like never before. I'm happy to keep eating crow with Julius Randle. Yeah, I want to give JB a pass. He shot it a lot and really did not make much. That has been their offense all year. And the shots that he was taking, maybe with one or two exceptions, are shots he's made. He did not make them today. So you're like, all right, he doesn't have it going today. Do something else. Well, the something else, we saw them divert to it down the stretch, and that's just go to Randle. But that's freaking hard. Like those baskets that Julius made. I mean, my God, that fadeaway he made. I know it was early on in the run at the end. That fadeaway he made, that might have been the biggest basket of the year to stem the tide on the Minnesota run that they were making. But so you could do that, but they weren't helping. They didn't need to help when JB had the ball. They didn't need to help when Julius had the ball. They were going to live with whatever it was, and Randle was the better option. I wonder if maybe Brunson taking a few more of those shots didn't give Julius a little bit more gas in the tank down the stretch. That's a possibility. The bigger point here is what's the alternative? And that's why you still need another creator on this team, someone who could really do something. So you have to put a little bit more pressure on the defense. That's why I laugh whenever people reference Golden State's offense. Why can't our offense be more like Golden State's? Well, at the end of the day, you need to create an advantage. It has to start with step one. Doesn't matter what team you are, who you're coached by, has to start with step one, creating an advantage. How do you create the advantage? This Minnesota team is the toughest team in the league to create an advantage against. It is why they're the best defense in the league. So if you can't create that advantage, you can swing the ball around all you want. Not going to make a damn difference. So yeah, tough game for JB, but I have sympathy for him. Thank you, Deadwoods. Hannibal Miles. What's going on, Hannibal? Knicks giving us wins on Christmas and New Year's. I didn't even think about that. Is this a first? I don't know. I do not have time to research it, unfortunately. Is the McBride contract trust in the player or a way to have a versatile contract for trading purposes? Why not both? Cue the meme. I do not think you give a player, I don't know how much it is over the minimum. Minimum for a player of his years of service time, probably $2 million and change, I would guess. I don't know. Maybe it's $3 million, whatever it is. You don't give a player that contract unless you have belief in the player. You don't. It was not all about the contract. They definitely have belief in the player. They definitely want to see what they have in the player. And, like, there's clearly an opportunity now for the player to be successful. I do not think it is a coincidence that contract could be traded starting on July 1st. So, yeah, why not both? Thanks, Hannibal. Hush Zoo. I find this so funny. Tibbs gets his 2024 version of his Bulls, D-Rose, Brunson, Boozer or D-Rose, Brunson, Boozer, Randle, OG, Luol Deng, and I heart Noah. That's a good call. Those weak calls on OG were insane. Yeah, and if you're saying, like, well, why don't they go with iHeart as the facilitator? I thought they tried to do that a couple of times today. I know once it resulted in a turnover, but that's the other thing. Like, to ask a center to operate either from the high post or like down on the block, whatever, and make plays with all that length around you. I mean, it's just their length is staggering. Truly, I don't know how this team has lost as many games this year as it has. They are. I mean, they are a bear. I mean, some teams match up better with them than others, but they are a bear. Ooh. Thanks, Hush. Richie V, what's going on, Richie? RJ and IQ were two of my favorite Knicks, but once the emotions wore off, it was easy to see that this was a good trade. Put everybody in the correct spot. It was the trade that they've been trying to make for a year. You know, they did some really silly things, or a silly thing early on last season, and scoured the league to see if they could get a good first for Emmanuel quickly. And I don't think anyone really, I don't think there was any traction there. And then obviously quickly not became what he became, because he showed signs of that since he came into the league. But like he became untradeable basically. But like, you know, they kicked the tires on OG before the trade deadline. Now, again, because he just gives a lot of great info and intel, I'll again reference Fred Katz's Cats and Shoot pod, because he talked about the trade that they were trying to make before the deadline. Probably would have kept Quickly and RJ here and added OG to this mix, which would have been interesting. And it would have been Fournier contract plus, I think Fred kind of spitballed it at like at least one unprotected first, at least one protected first, and then flip a coin between whether the third pick was protected or unprotected. The fact that they went swung the pendulum so far in the other direction to not give up any firsts to acquire him, I find fascinating. And I find it's indicative of changing circumstances and rolling with the punches. And the fact that they did not get a contract extension done with Quickly, obviously that played a big role in it. And yes, the fact that the RJ experience kind of kept going sideways, you know? Thanks, Richie. Anthony Sixto. Fan of the trade, but I didn't expect to see the impact like this from day one. Randle will eat with this spacing. DiVincenzo and Brunson playmaking will go through the roof with OG's movement. I hope so. I want to see more DiVincenzo and OG Anunoby together. That's another reason why I like keeping the starting lineup the way it is. OG, by the way, today, 7 of 12 from the field, 3 of 6 from deep. Yeah, that dog will hunt. 6 rebounds. And again, like what I'm curious to see, and this is something God knows I'm not smart enough to speak intelligently on the question I'm about to ask, but like OG Anunoby is not a great rebounder himself. Like his rebounding numbers are, I don't know. I don't think he's ever averaged 7 rebounds a game, maybe 5 point something, 6 point something, whatever it is. I wonder if we can look at his size, and if his added size will have, like, I want to know how it will have an impact on New York's team rebounding. Early returns, clearly, again, he got 6 rebounds. they rebounded like gangbusters. Is that something that was because of him? Was it a coincidence? Were they just playing harder than they have been a while and really were getting after this game? I don't know. That's something I'd like to talk to Benji and DJ about. Jesse Cook. Oh, the hypocrisy of Knicks Twitter to call you out with the BS they speak about Tibbs and Randle, who have done 10 times more to make this team respectable. Look, it's fine. I am always happy to play the role of the punching bag. I've said it again, or I've said it before, I'll say it again. I am the luckiest guy in the world. I've gotten to, like, my kids are going to, get to go to college. They would have gone to college anyway, but like I'm going to help provide that for them because of like what KFS has given me. And I did it for free, and I would do it for free. The fact that I get to make a living doing this shit. And again, if you're in front of a microphone as often as I am, you're gonna, slip up. Although that's why we hire. That's why we have our new hire in house. So hopefully that won't happen as much. But yeah, it is what it is. It's fine. Thanks, Jesse.
Yes, thank you, Jesse. I just wanted to just piggyback on what Mr. Macri just
before
said.
You say anything, can I get another beer while you're talking?
Sure, go ahead. I'm sure that'll make you sound even more intelligent. So Jesse, as Mr. Macri goes and refills his beverage, just want to thank you for your patronage over the years. In fact, on behalf of Knicks Film School, anybody that has ever sent a super chat donation, we greatly appreciate it, and we'll do our best to show that appreciation, no matter how inflammatory or triggering said comment may be. We genuinely appreciate it. On behalf of myself, Mr. Cohen, Mr. Claudio, and of course Mr. Macri here as well.
You done?
I've been hired for the year, sir, so I don't know what you mean by done. I do believe that he said that today was an important day, but the more important days are. It seems to be just whenever someone gets traded, my services will be necessary.
Well, in that case, then might not be that bad.
I'll continue with your program, sir.
You look good with the glasses, I gotta tell you.
Thank you. I'm not able to see without them. So that's why I need to look good. It can see the Don't Be a Dick program is already working its magic. I appreciate the compliment.
I think it's working wonderfully.
Yes. Media training. It's already in the works.
Let the accent slip there at the end. Thanks, Jesse. David Futternick, how you doing, man? What's going on? Happy New Year to us. In the words of Christopher Moltisanti, you can see it. OG fits like a glove. This team is really coming together. What a monster win. Appreciate you chiming in today, man. Hope everything's good out in LA. Miss you. It's been a long time since we've talked. It's been a long time since we've talked, let alone on the pod. We need to rectify both of those things. I'll talk to you this week, and hope all is well. Thanks, David. And Happy New Year. Key Hooper then. What's going on? OG, man. Tibbs finally staggering, but always closing with heart. Got to stop. This isn't a slog if he has Grimes, DiVincenzo in the fourth. I don't think. Great win. Look, reasonable minds could disagree. I think when you look at... So here's the thing about Minnesota that I find interesting. So they had whatever guard they had in there, and I guess Connolly down the stretch after McLaughlin played some really good minutes. When you have McDaniels out there, McDaniels, and I haven't watched enough of Minnesota this year to say this with full confidence. I think McDaniels is a good enough offensive player, and specifically a good enough offensive player with the ball in his hands that can make something happen with the ball. I don't know how much you want to screw around with putting, well, maybe Grimes, but even Grimes is giving up. I mean, I think McDaniels is he 6'7", 6'8", whatever he is. He's a bigger guy. And then with Grimes, you have the height issue. Now, Hart obviously is shorter, but he gives you that real size and heft. And the other thing about keeping Hart out there, and this is the big one, I think it makes the Knicks a little bit more switch-proof. When you have OG and Anunoby out there, and like obviously teams are, like, needless to say, whatever a team has as their number one option, they're going to try to get OG Anunoby switched off that guy. If Hart's out there it makes it a little tougher to pull off the switch. You know, you could obviously try to get Randle switched on, which the Minnesota Timberwolves did a few times. I don't mind Randle switching in certain matchups. Certain matchups, it's death, but when he's engaged and he's really getting after it like he was today, I don't mind the switching there. And then obviously you got your center. So again, reasonable minds to disagree. I am not sure that the offensive plus that whichever one of those guys would have given you, I'm not sure it would have been worth it to me for the trade-off on the other end. I could be wrong. Game almost slipped away, and if it wasn't for some absolutely miraculous shit by Julius Randle, game would have slipped away. So from that perspective, you have a fair point. Moscow Drug Mule. Hey, I haven't seen this guy in a while. What's going on? John and Jeremy, you guys provided much needed therapy with this big trade. So stoked too with the results. Any thoughts on Precious and Malachi's performance today? Well, I don't have any thoughts on Malachi's performance tonight because he didn't play. I wonder how they're going to navigate that because again, I'm putting it out there. I think they're going to give Deuce a real shot, and a real shot means I don't know, more than 5 games. So, do they try to milk this ankle thing for all it's worth with Flynn? I don't know. What I wonder is how imperative it will be for them to take a look at Flynn before making another trade. Because I wonder if there's a world where they feel good enough about Flynn as the backup point guard that would actually lessen the necessity to make a trade for another playmaker. I don't think that's the case. He's like, the shooting's not there other than from the corners. I don't know. As far as Precious, I think it was a terrible matchup for him. The size difference between Gobert particularly, and the one issue, not issue, but the one issue I would have with, and Benji said this on Twitter, I would have with Tibbs rotations today is was there a way to stagger so that you're getting Hartenstein matched up with Gobert whenever Gobert's in the game? It didn't do that, obviously, and Precious was kind of exposed. I don't know. I want to give Precious a little bit more time. Clearly a talented player. I remember that draft. He ended up going 20th. I remember there was talk about him going on the outskirts of the top 10. Dude has talent. We didn't really see that today. So it's kind of an incomplete so far, but we'll see. Thanks, Moscow Drug Mule. Great name. Barry Kramer, what's going on, Barry? Happy New Year, KFS. Julius haters must feel very hungover today. The team will go as he will go. Never a truer statement has there been uttered. This team, as currently constituted, will go as far as Julius Randle takes them. If Julius Randle plays at this level or close to this level in the playoffs, fuck wants to play this team? Seriously, who wants to play this team? If Julius Randle's doing this and now they have Anunoby, and maybe they make another little move or maybe another bigger move. But if Randle turns back into a pumpkin, as he has done a couple playoffs, obviously the last one with an injury that he was dealing with, it's a different team, different ceiling. So, yeah, I don't disagree with that. Hush Zoo. I miss IQ, and I think his play was missed. Watching OG, I was comparing it to RJ. OG dunking, defending, shooting. It's night and day between them. This is the complicated part about reconciling this trade because the obvious comparison is from OG to RJ, but that's not the comp. Because, if you actually go through what these guys do and how they do it and the impact that they make, they're not they're similar in the positions they play and all that, but their games aren't similar. Their impact, the way they make an impact, isn't similar. And yet, Quickly obviously plays a completely different position than OG Anunoby. And yet, that's the comp. And you say we missed Quickly tonight. I think the And again, I wonder how much he would have gone to it. I think the only quickly on the floor with Brunson, and definitely with Brunson, but also with Randle, was that generating some more offense, and how much would you have paid for it on the other end? Again, you rebounded the hell out of the ball tonight. You held them to 106 points tonight. With all that size, you did that. Quickly would not necessarily have helped in those areas. That's all I'm going to say. But he would have helped in other areas. So that's was always the question with him. Like, where does the organization, in your yay or your yay or nay column, right? In terms of reasons that we should keep Quickly, reasons that we should use Quickly as a trade asset. It's like, there are reasons for both. Thanks, Hush. Frank Miranda. This is going to be interesting. What's up, Mac? It's your boy Frank from Patreon. Didn't get a chance to comment on the trade. Sad to see IQ go, but I'm extremely happy to see a real wing on my. I'm reading the words on the page, Andrew. To see a real wing on my team instead of not a real wing on my team. A post-Christmas miracle.
That was well done, Mr. Macri. And to Mr. from Patreon, I've heard so much about you, Frank, and I appreciate your contributions as always on behalf of our ever-growing business. And I just want to say we can refer to him as the new Toronto Raptor, no longer member of the New York Knicks. And I'm glad not wing, as Macri said. You're really doing well today, I gotta say. Well done, Mr. Macri. I'm just gonna stay on for the next one, just in case my services are needed.
I just want to say thank you to Frank for his generous contribution, and that is what I want to say.
And we hope you're having a happy New Year, Mr. from
the
Patreon.
Happiest of New Year's, Frank. Get the clappers out. Hush Sue. People put RJ on a pedestal. You said nothing wrong in that clip. I did say something wrong in the clip. It was brutally honest. He was the most frustrating player. Root for front of the jersey. Nothing wrong with rooting for the back of the jersey. It's the right way to. It's a great way to fan. Great way to fan. What the hell does even that mean? But what? There's just no need to. There's no need to be rude. To that degree. Like, it's tough. Like, I've honestly spent a lot of time the last day or so thinking about like the nature of what it is that I do, and because it's weird. Like, we're the number one Knicks podcast in the country. We're one of the number, or either whatever. We're usually number one. I don't know if we always are, but
we are. Don't worry.
We are. Okay, thank you. And we're one of the most successful, independent content things that are out there that cover one team. And so I do feel like sometimes it would be easy for me to sit back and just totally play it safe. Because I as much as I joke with Andrew that the Italian in me lacks self-control, I could be better. And then, so why does anybody push the envelope? Why have people pushed the envelope for years when it's not necessarily necessary? And I don't have a great answer for that question. But it's just something to continue to grapple with. That's all.
On behalf of Drew, as I said in the conversation with him last night, like you said, there is no wrong way to fan. And while rooting for the front of the jersey matters, over my left shoulder is a Carmelo Anthony jersey. In John's office, while he has Madison Square Garden ahead of him, there are plenty of Knicks posters. I know because I've been there. I also know because I bought him one for Christmas. So
I'm looking for a Melo thing quick.
There have been, wow. Do you have a Melo thing there?
I don't have a Melo thing.
I didn't think you had a Melo. I figured that was the joke. I know you have a Spreewell thing.
I knew you were
a bunch of Ewing things there. Yeah. But the point is,
I even have a
You
Kristaps bobblehead.
Well, I have 2 Kristaps Funko Pops because my in-laws, well, I should say my extended in-law family was like, "Oh, he likes the Knicks, right?" And got me last year a Kristaps Porzingis Funko Pop from like Five Below.
Do you know?
Point
Do you know?
being,
Yeah.
um, we have rooted for the back of the laundry several times, and while it
Yeah.
can be frustrating, I believe you mentioned you called it hive culture. I don't know. I was still at media training, but
It's a good term.
uh, I do believe that uh, at the root of hive culture is the desire for the front of the jersey to succeed. So, you know,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's fair.
you were gonna say,
I was just gonna say that I have a signed Frank Ntilikina picture that Dolores had gotten me years ago. I hung it on the inside of the utility closet over there. So when I open the utility closet to get like the vacuum, I see Frank, which I think is appropriate because he's like a utility player.
oh, you put thought into the decor
I really
of
did.
your man cave / office. Well done.
But you also can't see Frank unless I open the utility closet.
That's true. You barely saw him when he played for the Knicks too. So, anyway.
Thanks, Hush. Dan Hidalgo. Losing always sucks, but it was the way we were getting pushed around that made it more frustrating. Reasonable minds may vary if we gave up too much, but not many OGs out there. We're going to be a bear on defense. Look, they'll still give up points because I think being able to utilize OG on Anthony Edwards tonight and try to like Anthony Edwards, I'll read off his final stat line. Here, I think it was pretty good actually. He was 11 of 21, got to the line 10 times, and scored 35 points. Only 2 assists though, which I find notable. Like, I think the fact that Edwards knew for the most part he was going to have OG on him for most of the game, I think that really made a big difference. Other teams that are maybe slightly better in terms of passing, like I don't think the Wolves were a great passing team. I have no idea where they ranked in the league in assist percentage. I kind of Andrew, if I don't know if Andrew's back or the PR guy, if someone could look up where Minnesota ranks in assist percentage, they don't strike me as a great passing team. But I do think that against Indiana, for instance, again, will OG help? Absolutely, OG will help. But I think that's going to continue to be like a tough matchup because they just passed so much.
Minnesota is 12th in assist percentage this season.
So that's actually pretty good. Pretty good. So,
especially compared to the Knicks, who are 29th in the NBA.
Well, that much we know. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
Do you want an advanced stats check? Yes, we can. The Knicks are now 18 they're 18 and 15. What do you think they are in offense?
I bet you they're still 11th.
They are 10th now.
Oh, okay. Defense.
How about defense?
I'll be ambitious. 14th.
18th. Still.
Whoa!
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think I checked after the Indy game.
I didn't either. I mean, I was trying to hire a PR team. So
what are they in net rating?
I also didn't check. They are in net rating 12th.
11th? What?
12th.
12th. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. It's fine. I mean, they're 18 and 15. So,
and I'm going to assume this will get better too, especially the defensive rating. That second unit. Like I didn't talk about the game yet. Like I'm in love with this second unit, and when they go to Brunson with the 4, with whatever Precious Achiuwa can eventually be, I'm just gonna trust that Tibbs can work his magic. But when Grimes, Hart, and Anunoby are the 3 wings you put next to Brunson, it hides him, like legitimately hides him because they cover so much ground. Yeah. It's like having multiple Darrell Reeveses, and then you could have like a weak safety, you know?
And Brunson's going to look a lot better against basically any other team he plays in that role.
And I don't know if you spoke about this, the staggering, like Julius Randle or Jalen Brunson were on the court at all times tonight.
Yeah, and that's going to continue for as long as they don't make another trade. And for him to be, I mean, I don't want to sit here and praise Tibbs, but I thought it was pretty creative to go to Deuce when he did, and then go to Brunson. Now the flip side of that is if he keeps going with this, Brunson's going to play the entire second quarter and the entire fourth quarter. That's a lot.
This is where Deuce just being better. Like we're in a do better mood today, right? Just be better.
But hold on. So are you saying there's a possibility you think he introduces Deuce as like give Brunson a minute and a half or a 2-minute breather in the middle of the second quarter?
I thought Brunson came back earlier in the first quarter because
no,
Deuce
that
was
I forgot that. That's a bad job by me. I forgot he came back at the beginning of the fourth. In the fourth, though, I think it was Deuce that closed out the third, and then Brunson came in to start. I think that's going to be the norm.
Yeah.
That's going to be the norm. So, in that case, it's still, again, Brunson playing 12 straight minutes to close the game. That is a lot.
Mm-hmm. You could bring in Deuce a little earlier in the third and the first if you wanted to give Brunson more than just like 6 minutes off. You could make it 10 minutes off if Deuce or some other backup point guard is on the floor. I like the idea of they're staggering them at all times.
No,
but
I love
the
stagger.
I recognize the limitations.
I love the stagger. I have no issue with the stagger. It's smart to stagger them. Having JB play the entire fourth quarter is a lot. That's a lot to ask.
It's almost like you understand why Snyder in his rotation, Trey plays the first 4 minutes of the fourth, sits for 3, plays the final 5. And that's just like a lot. You have DeJounte Murray as a luxury and able to do that. The Knicks don't have a second. I'll be honest with Deuce. I think Benji nailed it. He's a wing.
He's a wing.
Or he's a guard, but not necessarily a point guard that you're on your offense. So I'm curious to see what's up with Malachi Flynn. And then I think the Knicks will be in the market for a backup point guard. So
or more.
Yes. We Jeremy laid the groundwork. So we'll see what happens going forward.
I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll see. Okay, David Hughes. Being from England, I don't get to see many games live, so happy I saw this one. This is why you get OG. He fits perfectly next to Brunson and Randle. Could not agree more. In terms of defense, yes. In terms of offense, the only better possible fit would be a guy like Paul George, who can do a little bit more. Paul George can do a lot more, but can give you more juice. But also, Paul George ain't the defender that OG is. And like, if you go through the list of like better wings, ain't many that give you defensively what OG does. Well, no, actually, I don't know how many. I don't know how many wings in the entire league gives you what OG does defensively. It's basically like Kawhi. Gives you the and man, Kawhi would be interesting on this team. Conversation for another day. Thanks, David. Glad you got to see the game, by the way. Jay Nees, what are your thoughts on the Knicks pursuing Jordan Clarkson in a trade to replace IQ Spark off the bench? I would be surprised if that was the sort of player they went after. Clarkson is not known for his defense. I also like. I feel like there's been varying reports on how gung-ho Utah is to trade him. I also just don't love the idea of trading with Utah because of what they seem to want and get in every deal. I think if you because I don't think you're going to start Clarkson. So I don't like it. I don't think it's a natural fit because I think if you have Clarkson on your team, you want him to be the sort of sixth man that plays like 25, 30 minutes a night. And I think we know from the Emmanuel Quickley experience that is just not going to happen here. And so, yeah, I don't know if that's their best use of resources to go get Clarkson. Thanks, Janies. It's a good player, by the way. But Haitian Ferg with another one. Thank you, Haitian. As stated before, we are a developing playoff team, one piece away from being a contender team. I love it. It's Class A rebuild while staying relevant. Let's go, Knicks. I know me personally, I've asked a lot of questions over the years about paths not taken. Not saying necessarily that I advocated for them, but just wondering aloud. And usually when I wondered aloud about those paths not taken, it was during moments when it seemed like the path that we were currently on had either hit a dead end or you felt like it just wasn't working. And for them to get this far, like, I'm not a big video game guy, but video games, I'm assuming, still have like final bosses. They've gotten to the last stage, right? They haven't beat the final boss yet, but they've gotten to the last stage. For them to make it this far, pretty freaking impressive. Truly. Thanks, Haitian. Hush Zoo. Also love the ball movement. Amen to that. So much. So much cutting. Felt like I was watching a different team. Hopefully this keeps up for the rest of the season. They need to move it more. I think even Jalen and Julius be the first people to fucking tell you that the offense is too stagnant. Tibbs will tell you the offense is too stagnant. You know, the game tells you what to do. Read the rim, make the proper play. You get two on you, move it. You got a good shot, take it. It's just, and chemistry will help. This is where I think the shakeup of the roster helps. I do. Thanks, Hush. Jessica. What's going on, Jessica? Thanks again for yet another generous contribution. After the OKC game, I bought Brunson and Randle jerseys to replace my number 9 and my number 23. Glad I did. Love Randle. Hashtag classy team. Hashtag ride with Randle. Hashtag Sixto was right. It's a nice inside joke. I think you'll do well with those Brunson and Randle jerseys. I really do. I wonder if I'm going to break my streak and actually go buy a jersey. I don't know. I'll think about it because the city or the whatever. Yeah, the city editions, right? Have grown on me this year. I like them well enough. I don't know who I would get. Would it be something if I got Randall jersey? I might do that. Or maybe an OG jersey. Anyway, Greg Film Stuff. What's going on, Greg? Thanks for the generous contribution. Randall is playing his best ball as a Knick, and he's dominating in the paint like I've always wanted. Not always all the way in the paint, but like in the paint, close enough to the basket. Yeah. Love OG's debut. He makes the offense better and makes Jalen a better point guard with his off-ball movement. Absolutely. Happy New Year, KFS. Stay well. I have nothing to add. Randall is playing out of his mind. I'm really not sure how you leave him. It's going to be tough because here's the thing. It's going to depend on team record. And man, it's going to be tough if the Knicks are like, and this is possible, right? Because they're going to play a bunch of home games before the final voting happens, and they're going to get a chance to clean up a little bit on their record. But if they don't make a trade, this is still a flawed team, and it's going to be tough. I wonder how high in the standings they need to get 2 All-Stars. Because right now, I believe they're still 8th. No, yeah, they're 8th. They're tied for 7th with Indiana, who has the tiebreaker over them, but whatever. And actually, they're percentage points behind Indiana. Half game behind Cleveland. Game and a half behind Miami and Orlando. I don't think they need to get to 4th to get 2 All-Stars. I think they need to get in the top 6. I think they need to be a top 6 team to get 2. Yeah. Let's say that. And even then, I don't know that it's going to be a shoo-in. I will say this. A couple things that have helped them, and we'll see if this sustains. Atlanta being 13 and 19 right now, and Toronto being 12 and 20. If those 2 teams stay around that range, I don't think the Bulls are going to get an All-Star, and I don't think, I thought McCall maybe would get some consideration. I don't think he's an All-Star either. If Atlanta's that low and Toronto's that low, I find it hard to believe that Barnes would get in over Randle. I know Barnes would have a lot of support. I know he would have an especially large bit of support in the analytics community. And Trey, like the numbers are what the numbers are. The numbers are ridiculous, but they're 13 and 19. So I don't know, but like it's gonna come down to the wire. It's gonna come down to the wire. Drazov. What's going on, Drazov? I don't know ball. Stop stealing my line, Drazov. But the team overall looked like they were playing faster. And Quentin Grimes especially looked like he was playing looser. Well, I could tell you that Quentin Grimes is playing as free and clear as he has all season. Because, like, imagine being that dude and imagine you just saw a guy who finished runner-up for Sixth Man of the Year. Didn't get a contract extension. And now DiVincenzo came in. And DiVincenzo's boys with Brunson and Hart. Hart's here too. Wasn't there for a lot of last year. And there's all these mouths, and you're the starter, and you don't see the ball at all. Whenever you see the ball, as he basically said to the press, like it's like, all right, I see the ball, I got to shoot, and I better make it, otherwise I'm fucked. I'm coming out of the game. I don't envy him. I did not envy him all year. And all of that as a third-year player whose role has continually changed as he's been in the league. So you throw all that in now, quickly gone, RJ gone, and that's why like the one point of contention I have with a lot of people who are, and again, I was on with Sam Vecini 2 days ago, and he's like, I think there's a chance to go down as the Emmanuel Quickley trade. And I'm like, you know what? You probably might be right. He might be the best player in the deal. But I am sorry that I can't look at what this not only does to the team, and I really do think that there is an unquantifiable impact that this had on the team at large in terms of just their spirit and energy. And again, I don't want to badmouth anybody, so I'm not going to say any more on that, but I think it's real. But more than that, the fact that they are opening up real time for Grimes and DiVincenzo. And we'll see about Deuce, right? I think that's going to matter so much. Not to mention the fact that OG Anunoby is coming here after not always getting the shots that he wanted in Toronto. So there's that too. Dom Cappuccini, man, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, Dom. I know I've said it to you already, but you are you're one of the most generous contributors we have. I don't know how else to say it, and I thank you. Thank you. You go above and beyond. You're one of our patrons too, and just thank you. Appreciate you. So Dom, I got two. It's been chaos trying to watch most of the second half while dealing with car trouble. Oh no, is there anything worse than car trouble? I feel like I could remember every instance of car trouble I've had over the course of my driving life. They are universally absolutely the most miserable experiences. So I'm sorry for that, Dom. Let me know if there's anything I could do. Anyway, called it. No trade, no win. John, I love you, but did you think this effing team was going to take a 6-game losing streak to DC? No, I didn't think that. I didn't think that I ever said. I don't think I said that. No, I mean, because what does this team do? Just when you think they're down and out, they win. What do they do today against the number one team in the West? They won, and it was a glorious win. You look ahead a little bit. Chicago home game Wednesday. I know Chicago's been feisty. Go win that game. Don't screw around. Go win that game. Go to Philly. Whatever happens. And then you go to Washington. Don't screw around. Portland at home. Don't screw around. And then very, very interesting little 2-game trip at Dallas, at Memphis. And before you know it, we're playing Toronto at home for the welcome back game. But no, I didn't think that would take a 6-game losing streak. Another one from Dom. No corner threes and stifling D. No win. No OG. No win. I can't wait to see more of this team. Hey, John, hashtag we back, baby. All I got work tomorrow, so got to get home now. Love you. Love y'all. Night. Let's effing go Knicks. One more and got to go. This is also from Dom. To be clear, no shade on Quick and RJ. I didn't think you should throw any shade at them. I love them dearly and wish them the best. I hope RJ figures it out and IQ is an all-star. We saw today why we needed OG even more. Really, future is really bright. Good night. Dom, again, thank you. And that's why, not to reference it again, but that's why the stuff that I said about RJ was really unnecessary, because it's not about RJ, who I didn't love as a basketball player, but really liked this person. It's not about him, and certainly it's not about Quickly. It was about and it wasn't even about fit, but it was about figuring out how you could get the puzzle pieces to complete the puzzle and making the best use of your assets. And that is the toughest thing to do in the NBA. It doesn't matter whether you're the best team in the league or you're the worst team in the league. It is so hard to figure out how to maximize your assets. And that is what running an NBA organization comes down to: asset maximization. It's all it is. It's a cold, hard, dry world, but that's what it is. And they made a tough call. I think it was the right call. I don't think it's always going to look pretty, not until this team is fully formed. But yeah, it has nothing to do with throwing shade. The thing that's going to be interesting is how RJ fares in Toronto, because I don't love that scenario for him. But we'll see. Thank you, Don. Brian Valderrama, hope they don't trade Quentin Grimes for a short-term bench help. I would be utterly shocked, not surprised, shocked, if they traded Grimes for anything less than a piece that was like a serious piece. He is the last young player on the roster that has real value and that other teams around the league, I think, would genuinely covet, some more than others. They are not going to part with him haphazardly. Or if they do, I'd be shocked. Shocked. Thanks, Brian. Edward Flood. Please keep being honest. People will always cry. Listen, you don't want to make anybody cry, right? Thank you, Edward. Appreciate that. Frank Miranda. What's up, Mac? It's your boy Frank from Patreon. Do not apologize for nada. Talk your ish. You will be referred to as Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Hashtag gospel. I'm a Catholic. Listen, look, right here. I'm a Catholic boy. That's the best compliment I can give or I can get.
There is a conflict between Mr. Claudio and he and I both are the son of a pastor, so I don't know if this is actually gospel or sacrilege here, but to you, Mr. from Patreon, we appreciate the sentiment. We also appreciate the apology.
Andrew, to some.
Let me go get him.
Oh, wait, no, I forgot. That's my bad. This is if he keeps his bit up, like that's
what's up?
Okay. Different people would look at the same words that you're referring to and refer to them as one group might refer to it as sacrilege, the other might refer to it as gospel. So beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Are you a pastor? Because that was a straight up sermon, yo.
How long do you think it would take me to lose every member of my congregation if I was a pastor?
Well, if you have a good PR team and some media training, it probably last a while.
You know what? I'd enjoy the challenge. I think I can talk a good game about God and all that stuff.
Before this goes in a completely other direction, next up. Oh, here we go. More.
What?
Stay on. No, just read
John
the next comment.
Riccobono. John, Twitter discourse has you down. Come to NBA Threads. It's a utopia of fandom. That's the other app.
The other app, yes. John commenter, thank you for the contribution. We would need to hire a whole other team to teach John how to operate a whole other app and operating system.
Can I give a selfish personal shout out?
Sure.
I've done it before, but I just want to do it again. I take no credit for it. None. But the chat, the daily chat on the Substack app for the Knicks Film School Substack. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You will not find better, more engaged, more intelligent, and like it's not like devoid of emotion. Like there's jokes and a lot of humor. There's all kinds of inside jokes in there, but it's like respectful and it's everything you want sports talk to be, and it's happening. And I promise this is not a shameless plug to sign up for the newsletter, although I think it's a pretty good deal. Like we just have such a great time talking. I'm in there all the time. Like ask anybody who is a member of it. It's a great time. And like, there are places out there where you could talk sports and have it be like sane. I don't know if it's Twitter, but yeah.
Next up,
Mr. Knicks 101. RJ sucks. Glad he's gone. I'm just reading the words on the page.
Mr. Knicks 101. We wish RJ the best in his new endeavor in Toronto. We should mention, at time of recording, it is about 7:18 Eastern Standard. The starting lineup has been announced for the Toronto Raptors tonight for their game. Yeah. Both RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley in the starting five.
Which, not a surprise.
Not a surprise. There was some curiosity after Dennis Schroeder's most recent comments.
Oh, I didn't even see the comments.
He talked about not buying into the system and how they were lacking leadership on the team. And, this is right after they just ended the longest losing streak in NBA history.
Oh, my God.
What?
I have no idea. What is he even making? Is he on a minimum? How funny would it be if they swung a deal for Schroeder?
Oh, the Knicks?
The Knicks they've been connected with him in the past.
Yeah.
Better or worse.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, dude, they do need a backup point guard at the moment. Funnier scenario is with the Siakam to Indiana smoke.
Oh, and then Obi goes to Toronto.
And then it's just Canadian Knicks.
Yeah.
Canadian Knicks. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know what it would take to get Schroeder. I don't even know that I want Schroeder. Schroeder gets a lot of shit. Schroeder's a good player. But
he's like the perfect backup center, but backup point guard. I think when you go to him as your like high usage or any kind of usage starting point guard, Yeah,
you don't too much of Schroeder's very evident when you have too much of it, but like just
it gets exposed.
It's not bad. Okay. Red Sarachek. Hi there. Dante DiVincenzo to replace IQ minutes. Quentin Grimes back to starter. I don't think that's how they're going to do it. I mean, here's the one thing that I wonder. So I think there's two ways to look at this. I like how I did this with my hands. Okay. When you have your JB only minutes without Randle, go all in on defense during those minutes. So, and they did. That's the plan. That was the plan today. We'll see if it's the plan going forward. Because who did JB play with? Grimes, Hart, Anunoby, and then we'll see what they do with the center thing. And then when JB is off the court, so when your JB's on, you're going to surround him with nothing but defense because you're going to count on his offense. When JB is off the court, what is the Knicks' best offensive lineup? But here's the catch. That also features Deuce McBride because Deuce McBride is the guy that has to be out there because he's the guy that they've chosen to be the backup point guard right now. So what does that feature? Well, it features Julius Randle, for one. It features Isaiah Hartenstein, which is why you saw Isaiah Hartenstein close the first and third quarter. And then it probably features DiVincenzo. So this is a long-winded way of saying I don't think they're going to change the starting lineup. But if you do what I just suggested, and Hart's going to be in there too, because they play Hart a lot, and it's the only way to get Anunoby off the court so you could have Anunoby playing the backup four. So Hart's got to be out there. So McBride's out there. Hart's out there. DiVincenzo's or Randle's out there, Hartenstein's out there. It's the last spot. That's going to be DiVincenzo or Grimes. I think DiVincenzo's the better offensive player, but if you leave him out there for the entire first quarter, then Grimes doesn't come in until the top of the second, and you're just not, there's zero way to get Grimes more than 7 minutes a half, maybe 8. And if like DiVincenzo has it going and Grimes doesn't have it going, then all of a sudden you're doing quick hook on Grimes and you're back to Grimes getting 10 minutes a game. So it's tough. I mean, I think the hope is that Grimes continues to make hay with the opportunities and that those end of first quarter minutes really do, like, Randle is able to do the heavy lifting and carry you for those last few minutes. And again, as we've said, and it should not go like understated, like Deuce needs to be good. Deuce needs to be good. Okay. Thanks, Red. Appreciate you. 007 Angelo. Sad to see IQ go, but I get it. RJ had a low ceiling. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. I'm lower on his ceiling than others. Reasonable minds could disagree. James Pascal, what's going on, James? The off-ball movement and cutting was really good today. Gives the team a whole new dimension on offense. I hope it becomes more a part of the team. Yeah, and that part will get better because Brunson will not be as limited, and Brunson will be able to make more stuff happen. And then it's incumbent upon Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle to find those cutters, and to a lesser extent, guys like DiVincenzo and Hartenstein, and all that. Thank you, James. Zach Horowitz. I love this. After 40, you don't have to care what people think. For me, it's, I think, after I had, once I maybe had my second kid. Once I had Isabel, not the one who was just in here. That's Scarlett. When you really look at yourself and you're like, oh, I'm just a dad. Like, it doesn't matter what the bullshit I do in my life. I'm just a dad. That's the only thing that matters. Then it really starts to sink in. But yeah, the getting past 40 adds to it. Also, I had a thought on trade day that OG could be a better defender, could bring a better defender out of Randle. OG draining those corner threes was therapeutic. Seeing a lot of brick. We all have. I just think Randle's motivated. And y'all can do your own psychoanalysis as to why. I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, Zach. Great to hear from you, man. Hope everything's good up in the cold zone. Next up, Ja so focused. Another one. Wasn't going to comment on the clip, John, but I knew as it was happening live what was coming. We love you for your positivity and insight. # do better. I agree. Got to do better. That's why we hired a PR person. Totally. Dom the dentist said it in the Substack chat. If we signed KD in 2019 instead of Julius Randle and they had the same stats and accolades, nobody would say we need a superstar. Hold on. I'm confused by this.
I think this is a great point.
What is the point? Explain it to me.
So what he's saying is that if in 2019, instead of Julius Randle, we signed Kevin Durant.
Yes.
And they had the exact same stats and accolades. Like, switch out most improved player for a different piece of hardware, 2 All-Star appearances, 2 All-NBA appearances. They made the playoffs twice and the second round, and he was averaging 25, 10, and 5 consistently. We would be like, the Knicks don't need a superstar. They have Kevin Durant.
Yeah, but Kevin Durant's Kevin Durant.
But to his point...
No, he's not wrong, but the premise is that Durant would have put up Julius's numbers. I think isn't that not a faulty premise?
I think so. The tough part for the full equivalency is the injury history. Like, Julius doesn't miss games.
Absolutely.
So Durant,
true.
I think Durant and the numbers he puts up and what he's put up since the Achilles injury has actually, I don't want to poo-poo them too much, but I wonder if over a full season he's able to put up 30 a game on 50, 40, 90 splits, or the same number of games Julius plays. Whereas in 40 plus games, or just flat out less than 50 games, it's easier to look like that and then ramp up for a postseason run. I think if we had gotten 3 full seasons or 4 full seasons of Julius Randle, or however many he's been here, this is year 5. 5 full seasons of Julius Randle, or technically of Kevin Durant, and we were getting this kind of production, and it's like he's doing this off an Achilles injury too, and he's not missing games. Yep. He's made a bunch of all-star teams. They went to the second round,
But that's the part is you're kind of leaving out the playoff production.
The playoff track record,
Kevin Durant's pretty good playoff player.
And if they've both gotten to the second round, and that's it since
that's very fair,
the Achilles injury. And if we're looking at Durant getting blitzed the way that Julius was against Atlanta, and then Durant getting hurt twice in the span of 3 weeks, as Julius did in last year's playoffs,
well, he would
that's
Durant doesn't come back for the playoffs.
I was gonna say that's Kevin Durant injuries. So
Julius came back.
You're right that the equivalency isn't fully there, because I do think Kevin Durant's stats are better, but I think, to Dom's credit, the point he's making about this is how good Julius has been. Like,
it's a great point,
and he doesn't get mentioned in the same conversation with the others.
Yep, no, it's a great point. It's a great point. Good job by you, Dom. Drazov, our abbreviation game is elite. JBJR, OG, QG, iHeart, JHeart. Drazov, I like you. The same mind. I like that.
Left one out too, DDV.
And DMB.
That's just Deuce. Like that's
Deuce DD. 2 D's Deuce.
Oh yeah, you could do wait, what? I'm saying DDV is Dante DiVincenzo, and then Deuce.
Yeah, but Deuce 2 D's.
Oh, so D2. Okay, that could work.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Ryan Nelson, that OG defense on Edwards reminded me of Bruce Bowen. That dude, here's the thing. Like, OG's so big and so long that Edwards was trying to dupe him. And, like, he doesn't need to bite. He doesn't need to bite because he can just be a big fucking guy. And man, the gifts that he has defensively and the aptitude that he has defensively, that dude's going to be fun. And I want to pay respect to a lot of the old heads who have been like, man, I remember the DeBusschere trade. And you know who went out in the DeBusschere trade? Hey, this is talk about it, not an equivalency. But they sent a Hall of Famer out in the DeBusschere trade in Walt Bellamy. I have his signed picture here somewhere, one of my drawers. Here it is. Here. Shout out Walt Bellamy, Hall of Fame, 1993. There he is going up for a dunk against Wilt Chamberlain. So they sent out a hell of a player in that trade. Now, that player did not fit at all with what they had going on. They got a guy that made a lot more sense. Throwing that out there. Jocelyn Focus, speaking of doing better, Deuce, yikes. Yeah, look, give him time. Give him time. That's all I'm going to say. Give him time. Jocelyn Focus with another one. Thought the last 2 fouls against OG were definitely worth a review. Did I miss Tibbs challenging another call or something? Nope. If you want to criticize anything from this game, it's that Tibbs did not challenge either 4 or 5. One of the two. One of the two for sure.
Can I respectfully push back a little bit?
Sure, yeah.
Coaches only challenge if their review team tells them to challenge. At that point, when OG picked up his 6th foul, they had 2 timeouts left. And then Tibbs would have been with 1 timeout, because we're upset that they called it. There was contact. They were going to look at the replay and see contact and be like, there's enough contact to call a foul. Whereas if the replay team was like, hey, like, you might win this, I'm with you, challenge it. But on the other side, I can't. This is one thing where I've never understood criticizing the coach for this. He has a team that has iPads in their lap. You turn to them and then they tell you whether you should challenge it or not. Now, if you want to say like the move of telling your new acquisition, hey, we're going to challenge your sixth foul just on principle, that's fine. I'll hear that. You still probably would have lost and would have been with one timeout over the last 4 minutes.
I mean, it's fair.
My respectful pushback.
That's fair. I'm here for any Tibbs defense. Daniel Carlisto, do the Raps become a mandatory league pass team? That's to each their own. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to feel. I mean, I have the game on right now. It's about to start. I don't know how I'm going to feel watching them. There's only one reference that I could make here, and those who've been watching me for a long time may know what's coming. In Sex and the City, after Miranda and Steve break up, I think for the first time, her and Carrie are talking about like how they react to an ex after Miranda sees Steve on the street and literally runs in the other direction, and then he ends up like going to her door and rings the doorbell and was like, "Why'd you run away from me? That was a shitty thing to do." I know, I'm a shitty person. Anyway, so I'm very much like Miranda in that I like you get traded away from my team. Like I want to not know that you exist. I don't like, but there's a lot of Knicks fans out there who are gonna like, root for the Raptors as their second team. So it's up to you. But I'm gonna be Miranda. Thanks, Daniel. Alex, OG dunks may be R-rated, but Tibbs dang is X-rated. If you know where to take that, Alex. Let's get another one. Let's hope OG's from Alex. Let's hope OG's body holds up better than the well dangs. Hopefully the fact that it's like a different era, it's like 10 years since that. More than 10 years, sports science being what it is. Also, like OG's just like, look at the dude. Look at that dude. Dude's a brick shithouse. Brian Less, what's going on, Brian? Happy New Year, KFS. Wow, OG's a player. Tibbs Frankenstein in the lab, huh? He's everything they've needed and some power finishes at the rim off of shrewd cuts. Over under 46 minutes a game in the playoff. Let's freaking go. I haven't looked at the playoff averages from last year, and I'm kind of curious because, like, you joke? That dude's going to play 40 minutes a game in the playoffs, without question. Without question. So that's what I'll say.
By the way, do you have you said you have the game on, the Raptors Cavs game on?
Well, it hasn't started yet, but yeah.
Okay. So I'm a little behind on League Pass because I put it on my second screen, and I see now why they have to start RJ. Because in the way they're marketing this game to the viewing audience, to the home TV crowd, RJ and Team Canada and coming home is very much part of the promotional material of this game. So I don't know if like the head coach got a phone call, but it's like they didn't bring him here to come off the bench.
Listen, you're not benching RJ after you trade for him. Dude's he's making $25 million a year. 27.
Sure. I also look at we all look at the spacing in that team, which is why I'm curious where Siakam goes. I'm also curious if this head coach decides to play Siakam into 5 because put Trent Jr. in for Pirtle.
It hasn't worked.
But it's spacing. It's better spacing, is my point.
They've had I'm not sorry.
You're good.
They've had opportunities to do that with Fred VanVleet, and who's a great shooter. And like I mean, who knows? Maybe they do. I don't see it.
I'm saying that they didn't have RJ in the mix though. Like that because of the RJ part of it, you almost have to play him at the 4.
I don't. Quite frankly, I don't think it's going to matter. I think their spacing is going to be tough unless RJ hits shots.
Yeah, true. Well, we've been there.
Oh, Dean Wade's starting today.
Oh my gosh, Dom.
Dean Wade.
Oh no, this is just one more from before. Oh no, this is an actual another one. Dom, you're amazing.
You're crazy, Dom. Home now, one more, and that's it. Seriously, it's important. Do you think Jalen is dealing with something or just slumping? Thank you, and see you on Friday night. Slumping? My God, you're gonna make the thought hadn't crossed my mind at all. I think today he had an off day and was just a really tough matchup combined with an off day, and it just looked really bad. Now you're making me look. Hold on, his last 5 games. So today was horrendous. He was 5 for 23.
You're about to see it. It's his 4 straight games of really bad shooting splits.
The OKC game was so he's first of all he had back-to-back the 2 games against Milwaukee where he lit up the Bucks in 2 straight games, 36 and 38. Against the Thunder was not his best game, but he went 9 for 19 and scored 24 points. So like not horrendous, not great.
Okay.
The Magic game was tough, and the Magic are probably after Minnesota. They're my number 2 team as far as the team most likely to give Jalen Brunson fits. And he was 0 for 4 from 3 in that game, which didn't help. 4 for 15 overall. And then against Indiana, yeah, he was 9 for 22. He was 4 of 8 from deep.
Made it
So
serious.
like, I'm not worried about JB Slump.
Not worried either. I want to acknowledge Don. I do see your concerns. I think John's right. It's matchup related. He's played.
I'm not coming at Dom, but I just
Well, thank you. Drew's magic already working. Dom, we see what you're saying as far as like the numbers, the matchups. Jaden McDaniels is going to make a first team All NBA team this year, and my thought
you mean
today,
all defense.
What'd I say?
You said All NBA.
You know what? I stand by it. That's how much they're going to value all in. That's how much they're going to value voting.
That's what I think about Jaden McDaniels.
Exactly. He's definitely going to make John's all NBA team. Jaden McDaniels is one of the 5 best defenders in the league, and I thought Brunson had a really hard time with him today. So I think you add that to the different defenders he's played over the Jalen Suggs, and then whatever you want to say about the Pacer game,
even the Thunder game, like the Thunder throw a lot of length at you. Like length bothers him. There's no question. Length bothers him, and if he's not feeling the 3, and a team's throwing length at him, he becomes really ineffectual. That's the reality. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you as always. Seriously. Dom the Dentist, also OG being expressionless when fouling out is equal parts hilarious and terrifying. I didn't see one expression from that dude all day. I know you commented on that in the Substack chat. I saw that. Yeah. I don't know. Daniel Carlisto, thank you again for the generous contribution. Looking ahead, and that's a big if, got to get Jeremy on to discuss resigning. We resign iHeart. Mitch has to come off the bench, right? We have to start limiting him, and iHeart fits perfect. Nah, they won't do that. They will never do that. I think I brought this up, my God, a week and a half ago. We are quick to forget how much he changes the game offensively. Now, or defensively, the offensive concerns. I love iHeart in there with the starting 5 for the offense. They are still with OG Anunoby, I think. Well, you know what? Let's let this play out. I was going to say, I think they're going to have to scrap and claw to be a top half of the league defense, even with Anunoby. Maybe that's a little unkind. Let's say scrap and claw to be a top 12 defense. I'd probably sign for top 15 right now, honestly, for the rest of the year. But I don't. And Mitch gives them we're top 5 defense with Mitch. We're top, 6, 7, whatever it was. Harry Donor, thank you for the generous contribution, man. Always appreciate you. Seriously. Thank you. Fabian Stewart, thank you for the generous contribution. I don't know if there's any comments that's supposed to be with these, but I don't see any. But thank you, Fabian. Kevin Danishevsky. Come on, Kev. You don't owe anyone an apology, though. Yes, you could have phrased it better. I've heard criticism of the trade that the team will be soulless, which was always silly. Are people actually saying that?
I'm going to take some training from Drew here and say to Kevin, who was a contributor to yesterday's episode of KFS Study Hall. Thank you, Kevin. That certain people felt a certain way about the trade, that the soul of this team was gone. And I did
People
did
really said
think,
that?
yes, because they fell in love with the young guys on this team. Like,
But that's
that
our
is
soul. That's not their soul.
no, what do you mean?
That's our soul as not me, but like people's souls as fans, not the soul of the team.
Right.
You
That's
can't conflate what you feel as a fan with how the team deals with stuff internally.
right. And that in the cold calculation of trading the young homegrown talent, you traded the soul, the heart and soul of the team. That's what,
And
like, this happened when the Raptors traded. I remember the podcast when the Raptors traded DeRozan. It was like you traded the heart and soul of the team, and then they saw 5 games of Kawhi, and it's like, oh, that's why we traded the heart and soul.
but that was different. There was genuine love between DeMar and Kyle, and like even Masai has talked about his affection for DeMar.
Was there not genuine love for Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett from this fan base?
From the fan base. I'm not talking about the fan base. I'm talking about within the team.
And I'm saying, from Kevin's perspective, he is saying that the soul from the fan base, what do I have to root for now? And I'm glad today went the way it did, because I think immediately it was seen, oh, that's why we did this. It fits like a glove. And then we can watch the Raptors in peace. Emmanuel Quickley with a 3 to start things off.
I saw. I think that conflating removing part of the soul of the fan base with what goes on in the locker room is a misguided approach. And I would argue that what you saw from the team today and how much they were passing and how hard they're defending, me knowing nothing would look at that and perhaps infer that the team is happy with the move.
Okay. Kevin's not saying anything about the team. He's saying the fan base lost its heart and soul.
I don't read it that way. That's my point. I don't read it that way.
Right. Since I listened to KFS Study Hall, because I edited it this morning, Happy New Year, everybody, I'm saying I heard the thing, and I disagree. People are allowed to be upset that the thing they were rooting for on this team is no longer here, and then be able to change their minds. It's what my sentiment was. I understand the deal. I'm excited to see OG Anunoby. It's gonna suck watching Emmanuel Quickley in another uniform. I want to be very careful about where I stand on this.
It's very strange.
Yes.
I'm literally looking at it.
The red and white does not make sense to me yet. The guy's played in blue the majority of his life that I've seen him.
RJ looks great in the uniform.
Because Team Canada.
It's red and white.
Yeah.
Anyway. It's weird to see Quickley in the uniform.
Thank you, Kevin, for the contribution.
Sending us down that rabbit hole. Josso focused. Dante DiVincenzo points, rebounds, assists, and iHeart rebounds and assists equals Prize Picks value. Shout out to our sponsors of Prize Picks. Again, prizepicks.com/KFS. Get your up to $100 deposit match anytime you want.
Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports, made easy.
HR made easy. Fred Katz, I haven't heard this much talk about ball movement on KFS since your last Manscaped ad. You're muted, Andrew.
Sometimes the mute button should be working across the board. Yeah, shout out to the fine folks at Manscaped. No longer a sponsor, but unforgettable ad reads. I'll say that much.
You did them. You talk about class. You read those with class.
Mm-hmm.
Abdoulaye Diallo. All we need to be a championship team is Devin Booker in the 2 spot. Oh, is that all? And Mitch back at the 5. An extra guard off the bench, maybe. Yeah, get Devin Booker. We're a championship team, or a contender at least, for sure. Thank you, Abdoulaye. I appreciate that. Perry Eckhart. Great win. Wish it was RJ and Grimes. I just miss IQ. It's hard not to miss him. It's hard. I was so excited to get Anunoby, and I think the processing part of the trade for me was the excitement over getting Anunoby, knowing the rarity of there's no one really else out there like him, and how much they needed him, and the fact that they did not give up a first round pick in the deal, and the fact that I have been processing since the summertime, since before July 1st, it always made the most sense for the Knicks in terms of what they were going to do to build out their team from here on in, to include quickly in a trade where, and here's the key part, where they got real value. Doesn't mean I won't miss quickly. And it doesn't mean that there isn't a world where quickly can so far and away blow away expectations in his role in Toronto, where, like, again, I to be clear, I don't think this is going to happen. But if like quickly goes to Toronto and does what like Halliburton did in Indy, well, then then everything that I've ever said about this trade looks ridiculous. Because it's, but I personally do not think we're going to get there as much as I will miss quickly playing. Thank you, Perry. Hamdy M, man, you do this sometimes, bro. Thank you. Happy New Year, KFS. It was an emotional few days from a basketball perspective, but we knew it was a good trade. By the way, GMAC's pregame with the Raptors guy really gave some good info. I loved what I saw today. Shout out GMAC. I don't know if he wants to get up here and reference that.
Yes, shout out to S. Barachini of SDPN Sports in Toronto. We linked up New Year's Eve in the morning and talked for about 45 minutes about this trade, both from the Knicks perspective and from the Toronto perspective. And I thought it was a good conversation. I think you will hear every single thing and question that you have will have an answer for you. How they view this trade, how they view the potential for Emmanuel Quickly, their plans for RJ, and just like what you're getting in OG Anunoby. I will say we did kind of see what we're getting with OG Anunoby in day one of him in a Knicks uniform, but just really insightful conversation. He's really good at what he does, and I think you'll enjoy it if you haven't checked it out yet. And it's evergreen too, so it's not like aged after the Knicks have played. Because again, the Knicks didn't play the Raptors. I defaulted from a Minnesota pregame pod and just did a Raptors pregame pod, or technically this trade pregame pod instead.
Quickly looks awesome early.
Yes, he does. Thank you, Hamdy, for the contribution.
Which should surprise nobody, by the way.
Yeah, he's getting the opportunity. I'm really cake and eat it too.
Yeah. Thanks again, Hamdy. You're the man. 007 Angelo, time to steal Mavs 6'8" point guard. I think his name's Luka. I like Luka. I think he's a good basketball player. I don't know how we're gonna steal him. Thank you, though. Danny Gardner, if we trade for Bridges, are we a contender? I said this. I think so. I'm ridiculously high on Bridges, and I'm also ridiculously high on the concept of like why not reunite the college team? Like, clearly it works. Clearly they have chemistry. Clearly they're good together. And Mikal Bridges is a borderline all-star. And my God, would he slot right into the perfect role here? If ever I was going to talk myself into the New York Knicks becoming their own version of the 2004 Detroit Pistons, it would be with a Mikal Bridges trade. Danny, thank you, Danny. Bopped you. I swear on everything, I'm not trying to be a hater, but I just don't think Deuce is a serviceable backup. Maybe Leon can call and see what the asking price is for Jaden Ivey. That's not the direction I think they go. And you're not being a hater. I mean, like, Deuce, look at the numbers. The numbers are what the numbers are. The dude struggles offensively. And when you have a point guard who is, again, more of a wing than a point guard, and it is not really initiating your offense, or if he's initiating offense, it's basically like, I'm going to make the first pass and then go run in the corner or whatever, but I'm not like penetrating, or not looking for a spot up or any of that kind of stuff. It's tough. But I don't think Ivey's the guy they're going at. I think look, how about this? Give Flynn a shot before you do that. I'm not equating Flynn to Ivey, but the cost for Ivey is going to be crazy. Before you give up on Deuce, or before you basically go out and make a trade for that spot, either give Flynn a shot, which is why I'm so fascinated with, does Flynn get first of all, will McBride work? We don't know. Does Flynn get a shot if he doesn't work? And how long of a shot is it? I don't know. And then there's a thumbs up. And then how big do they go if they don't have confidence in McBride and or Flynn? How big a move do they make? We'll see. Kevin Danishevsky, no one's talked about iHeart. Please do. I mean, the 3 blocks on Rudy Gobert, which one better than the next, Here's the thing. When did we in this game? And really, honestly, I know they have literally the worst defense in the league since Mitch went down. And he covers up for so much. And him being there, he does things that iHeart does not do. I want to acknowledge all of that because it's a fact. How many times are you like, man, Hartenstein's killing us out there? I don't find that I do it very often, if at all. And today, in addition to all those blocks, pulled down 9 big rebounds, 4 on the offensive glass. Oh, by the way, in addition to 3 blocks, how about 3 steals? When's the last time a Knicks center had 3 blocks and 3 steals? I'm sure it's Mitch. Now, here's a good one that's going to not – I don't think it's going to be Mitch. When's the last time a Knicks center had 3 blocks, 3 steals, and 3 assists? That's a good one. I don't know. Maybe Andrew has time to look it up before we get done here, but I know we're almost out of Super Chats. Thank you, Kevin. Darius Thomas. Would you move off of Mitch, who was often injured, and bring in another legit center? Not right now, I wouldn't. I want to see how he recovers. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. He is a big part of this organization. The notion that we are just moving off of him because of the injuries, well, not crazy, to be clear. Well, not crazy. I would not do that right now. But we'll see what they do. RJ to the bench in Gary Trent Jr. in. I don't know if RJ scored. He may have. I may have missed it. I don't think so. Ryan Huang, statement win. That Brunson plus DiVincenzo plus Grimes plus OG plus Hart plus iHeart lineup is so fun to watch. Amazing ball, movement, and you aren't scoring on them. Happy New Year, KFS. Yeah, amazing ball movement. Agree. You're not scoring on them. Agree. Again, I'm excited to see it against different matchups for sure. Thanks, Ryan. Haitian Ferg, Oscar performance from GMAC. Not going to miss Drew. As someone who's had some acting training, I agree. I think GMAC pulled it off. Oh my goodness, he's back.
Mr. Ferg, I appreciate your sentiment. I will relay the message to our general manager as soon as possible, and that concludes our broadcast for today, Jonathan. If it's okay, again, I'm excited to be part of the team. I think we had a successful reaction to today's exhilarating victory over the Minnesota Timberwolves. I believe I'll take more of a behind the scenes role. Mr. Claudio can refer to me whenever he needs to. But I think we're all things considered good to go going forward.
Foolishness takes many forms. I hope that this is not a foolish decision for you to go behind the scenes, but I understand and appreciate it.
I'm more of a desk guy. That's all. I mean, as you can see from behind me, go red, I believe is what we say over at Harvard. So
where'd you get that?
The Harvard Law Just Kidding shirt, I believe. I got it from the Harvard Law campus, where I obviously went to school.
That's a great job. But IQ with a 3 just now. He looks good. Although tie game, Cleveland, Toronto. Okay. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We love you all, even those of you who may hate me. Thanks for giving us your time, your attention, obviously your contributions. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. In terms of the podcast, if you're listening tomorrow, if you've listened this long, go ahead and take the extra 30 seconds, give us a 5-star rating. I know we say it casually, but those really, really do help us out. And, review the show. Obviously, try to say nice things. And we'll be back with more fun and games soon. I think I'm talking to Fred tomorrow, if I recall correctly. No? Okay, never mind. Then
I believe the schedule that was passed down to me by Mr. Claudio is
Oh,
that
no, that's right. Never mind.
you're talking to somebody tomorrow, but Mr.
Okay.
Katz, who also has his own podcast, Cats and Shoot. I believe we're contractually obligated for some reason to promote it as well. But you will be talking to a columnist of a different sport that used to cover the NBA, but that has some thoughts on Emmanuel Quickly. There will
Yes.
also be a pregame pod dropping Wednesday morning covering the Bulls game on Wednesday, and then we're back as I believe you would say for more fun and games for very soon.
You're great. Yes, more fun and games very soon. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you in a hot minute. Peace out.